Today, we're going to talk about something that's really important. It's actually how you fund big time dreams. And that is that powerful thing that Albert Einstein said was the eighth wonder of the world. That's right. It's compound interest. Well, welcome to the Monday Money Tip Podcast presented by Fully Funded Life. This is Joe Sangl, helping you with right now relevant information to help you progress in your financial journey so that you can live a fully funded life. Today, we're going to talk about something that's really important. It's actually how you fund big time dreams. It's actually how you fund your retirement. It's how you fund your kids' college, if that's a dream that you want to be a part of. And that is that powerful thing that Albert Einstein said was the eighth wonder of the world. That's right. It's compound interest. In the course of this short Monday Money Tip podcast, I want to help you understand how compound interest works, how you can make it work for you instead of against you, and then show you some numbers and a great calculator that can help you. So if you're ready, let's go. Now, when we think about compound interest, it is exactly two words, and it's compound and it's interest. So what is interest? Interest is money that you can be charged if you have borrowed money, or interest that you receive by lending money that allows your value of your money to grow or decline. So let me explain this when we think about interest. If you give money to a bank by putting it in a savings account, now you may not know this, you probably do. They don't just let that money sit there, they lend it back out. So they lend it out, they charge interest on those loans. It's credit cards, car loans, home loans, business loans, commercial loans. They make interest, and then they pay some of that interest back to you. And right now on savings accounts, as we're recording this, interest rate, they're somewhere around 4% on a lot of savings accounts, 4.5%. But they're lending it at 7.5%, 9%, and in the mid 20% on credit cards. And banks make money on the difference between what they're able to charge using your and my money, and then they give a little bit back to us to incentivize us to put the money at the bank. Okay, so that's interest. Now, the compound word is really important because compound is where the interest starts to earn interest for you. That's a compounding effect. So if you have a savings account and they pay you interest, then the next time that they have interest due to you, you're paid on the original amount you put in there plus the interest they previously given you. And so your interest that you have gained, that you've been added towards your accounts, well, it starts working for you as well. And that's where that compounding effect comes in. And so where do you get compound interest? Well, compound interest can happen in many different forms. And so let's talk about the most common ones. One is in a bank savings account. Now, it compounds far less swiftly when it's in a bank savings account. If you're earning 5%, well, then it can take somewhere around, 13, 14 years for your money to double. Now, if you have it in a stock with a company that is growing and is growing rapidly and profitably, then it might grow at 12% a year. And if it grows at 12% a year, well, then it'll only take about 6 years for your money to double. And you can also have your money compound in real estate. If you have a house and you own a house and it's growing in value at 4% a year using what's called the rule of 72, then that says your money will double about, every 23 years or so. And so it's very important to think about how, I think that math is wrong, actually. Math is hard. Let's do that. 4% into 72 fits in there what? Okay, 4, 1, 32, 18 years. It's 18 years. So anyhow, I want you to think about this fact of your money compounding. And it can happen in a small business. If you start a small business and it starts growing, and the next thing you know, you're hitting certain revenue numbers and certain profitability numbers, You may or may not know this, but businesses are valued in different ways. They're valued based on the value of their assets, like if they have inventory, if they have vehicles, if they have real estate, tangible goods. They also are valued based upon the revenue. Maybe it's a multiple of the revenues of the company. It might be valued based upon the profits of the company, some number of multiples depending on the recurring revenue that the company is producing, the predictability of those cash flows. And so your money can compound there as well. Now, how can it work against you? Well, if you're carrying debt, if you have debt on a car and you're paying interest to someone else, to a bank, if you've borrowed money from an individual and you're paying them interest, if you have a credit card debt, well, it can really be working against you. If you have a home loan, well, yes, the asset is growing in value, but you're paying interest to a bank. And so we're not saying that's a negative thing. We're just saying that's where it works against you in some way, shape, or form. Compound interest has the power to really keep you broke if you're constantly paying on debt, especially debt that has no value or drops in value swiftly, like vehicles or putting groceries on a credit card, things like that. And it has the power to help you build immense wealth. And that's through valuable things that increase in value and produce cash flow and profits over time. Rental real estate, small businesses, stocks that have dividends and grow in value, things like that. Now, it also has happened in things like valuable paintings, precious metals. It's done through intellectual property like licenses for music or things like that. It can be at work all around you. Compound interest. And so I want to show you some numbers, but I really encourage you, if you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to explain it, but this is the part where you should dive in at about the 6.5 minute mark and check out the actual calculations. And so we have this really simple calculator. There's a lot of people that have calculators here. And so I just want to show you how this works. Now, when you look at this calculator, it just has a requirement of 4 key data points: an annual rate of return, the time period in months, and the current value of your money and how much you plan to contribute per month. Now, this is commonly used for people who are contributing to a retirement account. So let's say that you're expecting to get an 8% annual rate of return, that it would grow 8% every year. And let's say that you have a 20-year window, which is 240 months, that you're starting with no money invested, but you're planning to start with just $100 a month. Well, you type in those dollars and it says in 20 years that money will grow. If these things are true, 8% growth, $100 a month happens every month, you'll have $58,902. Now, how much will you have contributed if you really put in $100 a month for 240 months? Well, that's $24,000. So you put in $24,000 and it's worth almost $59,000. Now, if you're able to get 12% growth, well, that would be worth $98,000. So this is really important where we understand the risk and the return. When we look at the stock market, now past performance is not indicative of future performance, may lose value. You've heard the Securities Exchange Commission statement said really fast at the end of commercials a lot. But since January 1, 1941 to today, when we're recording the podcast, if you reinvested all dividends, it would be about 11.41%. So that's the compound annual growth rate. So if we do 11%, it's $86,000. Now, what I love about our calculator is it shows what it'd be worth in 5-year increments. So if you kept contributing $100 a month for 40 years, it'd be worth $860,000. Now, you may say, I don't like that number. I only have 20 years to retirement and I'm starting late. Well, what if you freed, it allows you to think about what if. So if I paid off the car that has a car payment of $450 and I did that right now, then I could be able to put $550 a month, that $100 that you were able to afford and that $450 payment. Well, it says in 20 years at 11%, you would have $476,000. Now, you will have contributed quite a bit of money to this fund, but $476,000, that's a big heap big pile of money. And if you look at this in 5-year increments, if you're able to do that for 30 years, it's $1.5 million. Now, let's say that you're starting with a certain amount of money. Let's say that you've already accrued $100,000 over the course of, let's say you're 45, you started contributing when you're 25, and you've got $100,000 in there. Well, it's saying with that plus a contribution of $550 a month at 11% growth in 20 years, that'd be worth $1.3 million. This is the power of compound interest working for you. So what are the actionable steps you could take from our podcast today? Well, I would encourage you to, one, go add up the money that you have working for you, that compounding effect, and do some math with the calculator. Put in different rates of return. As I'm doing here, you can change it to 8%, and you can change it to 6%. And you could say, what if it did 15% just for fun? Look at the amounts and say, does that feel right for me? Am I going to be able to achieve the goals that I have set for me and my family? Would that entail me living a fully funded life? And as you look at the numbers, change the monthly contributions and let those changes, as I'm changing to $150 right here a month, let those changes guide you to make better decisions in your monthly budget, better decisions on your debt decisions, better decisions on your investing decisions, so that you can today be living a fully funded life and live a fully funded life to your final days here on this earth. Hey, that's what we're all about here, is helping you live a fully funded life. I encourage you to check out our great membership program at Fully Funded Life. It's at fullyfunded.life. There's a special offer where you could join our learning community and get access to unlimited Zoom coaching appointments with our coaches to help you with your budget, with investing, with preparing for retirement, and those big time dreams. We want to help you live a fully funded life. Have a great week, everybody, and get fired up. Hey everyone, Joe Sangl here. Thanks so much for watching this episode. Hey, I encourage you to check out our other videos that are available here. If you like this, hey, every single week we're producing new content that is to help you with right now relevant information. So make sure you click one of the links and check out some more of our information. I think you'll be so glad that you did. I know your wallet will be glad you did.